Hey guys, I am Amritendu. In this tutorial, I am going to teach you about UDP protocol, that is User Datagram Protocol. A protocol used for communication between applications. Today, we learn mainly UDP Client Server Program in Python. So, let's start the topic. So first we come the first slide, which is UDP Client Server Protocol. UDP is a protocol which is used in computer networking that allows for communication between applications. Basically, it allows communication between client and server. It is a simply and fast protocol that operates at the transport layer of the OSI model. We know OSI has a seven layers. One layer is a transport layer. In this layer, UDP protocol is working. So UDP provides connection-less communication services, which means that it does not establish a dedicated end-to-end connection before transmitting data. UDP is often used for applications that do not require the reliability and error checking feature of TCP transmission control protocol, such as a video streaming. We also know what is the what is the video streaming. So next come the next slide. We can easily understand to see the slide, that is server to client to server message, how to message sent by UDP protocol. So today we mainly discussed how to message send client to server by using Python. So that is our main agenda. So make we first of all a question also coming in our mind, that why we use in Python to send a message, because Python ID is a Python ID is a very easy to use language, because in the Python language there are lot of library are also already imported easily. So that's why we use Python. And further to making this code, we use PyCharm IDE, because if we use Visual Studio Code, that will not be worked, because we when we run the client and when we run the server continuously, that does not work in Visual Studio Code. So that's why we run in PyCharm IDE. So let's start in coding part. So next come in the program. So in I we use for the programming PyCharm IDE. So there are the two files, that is client.py and server.py. So firstly we discuss the client.py, sorry server.py file. First we discuss server.py. So first line of the server.py is from socket import star. So this line mainly import the socket module from the Python standard library. We firstly discuss that the Python language is mainly used to import a library. So the socket module provides low-level access to the networking interface of the operating system, and allowing Python programs to create, send, and receive data over a network. And the line allows the use of a socket-related functions and classes within the Python script. And the next line, that is server port equal to 11,500. This means the value of 11,500 to the variable server port. In a UDP client server program, the server port is the port number that that server will listen on to receive incoming UDP datagrams. So next we come the next line. So in this line, mainly the server socket equal to socket bracket A in it. comma and socket diagram. So this line create a new socket object server socket using the socket method provided by the mainly this is the socket this is the socket method and provided by the Python socket module and the AF init parameter specify that the socket will use the internet protocol that is IP address family for network communication and this parameter is used when the socket is intended to communicate over the internet and the sock diagram parameter specify that the socket will use the user datagram protocol that is UDP for communication. And then we come the next line that is server socket dot blind and inverted comma and under space bracket comma and server port. So this line mainly a new socket object server socket using a socket method. So firstly we also discuss and blind it to a specific network interface and port number using the blind method. This makes the server ready to receive incoming data from client on that port using the UDP protocol over the internet. And then the print the server is listening. So this message will be printed when the message when the client when the data also come client to server. And we also then we also use then we also come the next line that is while true. We use the while loop the condition when the true the message comma client address equal to server socket dot receive from 2048. This line receive the message sent by the client to the server using the receive from method of the server socket object. The 2048 parameter specifies the maximum number of bytes to be received. The received message is stored in the message variable and the address of the client that sent the message is stored in the client address variable. And the next is client send message 1 equal to str message plus is received. This line process the message received from the client. In this case, it converts the message to a string using the str, no, and str function, and the resulting string is stored in the client send message one variable. So this is easily understood. And, and then the next line that is server socket dot send to client send message one encode and client address. This line sends the response back to the client using the send to method to the server socket object and the client send message one string is first encoded into byte using the encode method and then sent back to the client using the client address variable that was obtained in the first line. And the send to method send to the response back to the same IP address like 127 something from which the original message was received. So then we also come the uh, client.py file. So here also part line that is from socket import star that we all before we also discuss this line and then that the server name equal to 127.0.01. This is the port means IP address of the server name. That means of my network is connected 127.0.0.1 and then next line that is server port equal to 11,500. We also firstly also discussed this line that is the variable server port and in a UDP client server program the server port is the port number that the server will listen on to receive incoming UDP datagram and then is the client socket AINET and the socket diagram that I also discussed and then also message also printed that is hello SIT202 when the this data also received by server, and then also come the client socket send to message dot send to message dot encode comma server name comma server port in the first bracket. So this line mainly sends the message to the server using the send to method of the client socket object. The message is first encoded into bytes using the encode method and then sent to the IP address and port number specified by the server name and server port variable respectively. respectively. And next line, that is server reply, comma server address and comma equal to client socket full stop received from 2048. This line waits for a response from the server using the receive from method of the client socket object. The 2048 parameter specifies the maximum number of bytes to be received. The received message is stored in the server reply variable, and the address of the server that sent the message is stored in the server address variable. And then we also know that there is a print server reply dot decode function. This line processes the response received from the server. In this case, it converts the response to a string using the decode method and print it to the console using the print function. And the next line, that is client socket dot close. This line closes the connection to the server using the close method of the client socket object. Once the connection is closed and no more message can be sent or received, so that is the main function. Then we also run the code. First we also run the server.py. So here we also see that there is the server is listening when we also run the server.py file, and we also run the client.py run. Just second, we also run, and this also send the message. This is hello SIT202 is received. So that is the point. And when we see also slide, you also notice there are, you also see that in the slide also notice there are the hello SIT202 message also print. So that is the main concept in UDP client in Python, how to message send client to server. So that's all, and thank you.